Welcome to White Label American Podcast. This is a podcast that brings you bold, in-depth interviews with interesting people that are mostly immigrants taking down artificial walls one story at a time. This is a podcast that empowers immigrants to share their stories and listen to those of others. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to another episode of White Label American. Thank you all for joining us today. I am your host, Raphael Harry, and I appreciate everyone who's been supporting us. Thank you for buying our mugs. The new white mug is a hit. People seem to love that mug. So there's other colors. You can get any color of your choice. For those of you who got it for Mother's Day, I hope your moms loved it. So, yeah, you can get it for birthdays. And there's other stuff too, and we're trying to add new stuff like, yes, it's summertime, so you might not need sweaters, but get the sweaters now, and, winter will still come back later on, so, and fall and other things. But there are different colors, don't just settle for white, there's other colors they're out there. But you can also support us by joining us on Patreon for as low as $3. We have a different podcast out there where we talk about pop culture, discuss hot topics that are related to TV and movies. Immigrants have opinions too, so my good friend Ashwin is there, and other immigrants join me and friends of the podcast, and we discuss other stuff. The birthday videos are there too. So yeah, join me on Patreon. You support the show, and if you just want to show us extra love without getting anything in return other than a shout out, you can buy us a cup of coffee. We don't have to tell you how much to do, anything from the bottom of your heart, dollars, pounds, sterling, euros. We don't want naira. Keep it naira to yourself. We love Nigerians, but we don't want naira. Just give us dollars. We're good with that. Okay. With that being said, let's meet a returning guest. You've met her before if you listen to the Mother's Day episode, and you've met her husband a few times. I'm honored to have Bertha Jimenez. She's a multifaceted social entrepreneur, mentor, and professor who is, she's a mentor. She has an understanding of the entrepreneurial ecosystem encompassing universities, incubators, venture capitalists, and more. She comes from the deep dive of academic work, and we'll be touching on that. I have some questions on that. And she is a co-founder of Rise, which we've heard of on this podcast a few times. So I'm really happy to have Bertha sit down here today to go through her origin story and to go through her journey about how she ended up in New York. And without holding up too much, welcome to the show, Bertha. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Raphael. Thank you for having me here. I'm good. I'm enjoying the nice weather.
Oh, yes. Nice weather is back.
It's nice, yeah.
Yeah, only that with nice weather at this time of the year, even though this is my month.
It's your birthday, no?
Yeah, my birthday is
it's soon.
Yeah. Well, as at the time of recording, we're just a few days before my birthday. But by the time people hear this episode, it will be after my birthday. So you can also send me birthday gifts too. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I love birthday gifts. But you can either buy stuff or you send me the money. I'll go buy the stuff. My daughter will say yes. She wants to buy stuff for me, and then she buys all the toys for herself. So yeah, I'm trying to raise a daughter. So.
Kids are expensive.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. Yeah, tell me about that. But yes, they don't want to hear about me except when they want to give me support. Let's begin with you, Bertha, at the very beginning. So, is there a story behind your name and what is the meaning of your names?
Yeah, so my mom name is Bertha. My grandma name is Bertha.
Okay.
So I'm the third one.
Wow.
So it's like a family name. And my second, like my middle name is Teresa. And my dad's mom is Teresa. So it's kind of like
Oh,
very
generational.
like generational. So it's like I guess like everybody has a saying. My mom wants Berta, my dad wants Teresa, and that's Berta Teresa. That's how it came with. So I saw your message because like usually like I feel like in our country like nobody's like, oh, my name is Maylin, which means the peach of like the flower of the peach or something. Like we just like it's more like, oh, I'm named after this person.
Yeah.
Or like at that time, like I know a few people that like at that time there was this series when like the main protagonist was named whether Maite, and that's why. So it's kind of like that. Usually that's how people, I don't know now, maybe now it's different, in my country. So it was kind of like, I think when I was like in like high school, everybody was trying to understand what the name means. And that's why I was like, what is my name? But it's not like there was no story of like you are named because of the light or whatever. It's more like, it was more like a family name. And then it means light. And Teresa is something to be with nurture, nourishment and stuff like that. And so that's how but I don't ended up with my name because of the meaning. It was more because of family.
Yeah. I relate to that. I think on my side, I think that was kind of similar. Like my grandfather on my mom's side, it was Raphael, Thomas, Harry. I got Raphael, and another cousin of mine was named Thomas.
Yeah.
So but I'm not officially second.
Yeah.
But I don't know how
me
that works.
neither.
So, but I'm not used to. I'm not familiar with women being, the names being carried on with women. I'm used to men. On the male side, that's what I'm familiar with. So
I think it's pretty like I don't know now, but at the time when I was little, like there was always name after their mom or their grandmom. Like it was kind of like there's two girls. The first one will get, like, for instance, in my case, I got my mom, my grandma, my other grandma, and my sister got the Virgin Mary name. So it's like, there's a lot of like Maria something in my country. So it was kind of like, you name after somebody, or you get Maria, my sister's Maria Auxiliadora. Maria Fernanda, Maria Gabriela, or Maria something,
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
Mary is also common. Especially for the Catholics.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Mary, Maria.
Yeah, but it's always with a second, like, because Maria, it's just too common. So nobody's called Maria. Everybody's called Maria Auxiliadora, Maria Gabriela, Maria Fernanda, Maria Elisa. There's it doesn't go by just Maria.
Just go by Maria or Mary. And I think that might be the difference on our side, because I'm thinking now. I know. I remember my sister Mary, Auntie Mary.
Yeah, like my cousin is Maria de Lourdes. Her mom is Maria de Lourdes. My other cousin is Rosita. Her mom is Rosita. So everybody has a bunch, because of family.
Yeah.
Like now, I think now people are getting more creative.
Yeah.
But like for instance, Nicolas is the name of my grandfather, and Nicolas is my brother has it, my cousin has it, my other cousin has it. Like it's my nephew has it. So it's like a bunch of most of them has like a middle name.
Yeah.
But a lot of Nicolas in the family.
In a situation like that, does the family do you address people like that by their nicknames, or do
So I guess
you?
like the deeps has like, for instance, like my case, my uncle's name is Nicolas.
Mm-hmm.
So his kid is Nicholas or Nick, you know. So I guess he got the Nicholas more because his dad has the name,
Yeah.
while my brother has Edgar Nicolas. So it's kind of like it's his middle name. So he has like a. The other one, it's more like his name because his dad
Okay.
has his name. So he has more of a. And the other one is Roberto Nicolas. So it's kind of like you go more like by your first name,
Yeah.
I guess. But they all have. And actually, I thought like long time ago when I was a child, I was like, if I have a child, I would put him Nicolas as his middle
Middle name.
name. But my brother took it, you know, so I'm like, whatever.
That's so beautiful. Ah, wow, that's beautiful. I don't think I would have expected to meet someone from Ecuador with Nicolas. What's their name? Yeah,
There's a lot.
yeah.
There's a
Wow.
lot of Nicolas.
But you also reminded me of something that I may have forgotten about. That when it comes to naming, not every time that some of us like have a reason. Just sometimes we just go by this person was named. We are naming you after somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So like it might be in the family. Some people name after like who the president is,
Yeah.
or who some leader is.
Yeah.
You know that they admire, and they just okay, we're gonna name the child
Yeah.
after that person, and we do that. And yeah, because I know of stories like that, or of kids who got named after some public figure.
Yeah, that's also like
So
like there's a town in my country, well actually like a whole state in my country.
mhm.
It's called Manabi, and I think until like maybe like 20 years or 10 years ago they make them like they ban, like they don't make, because they always come with like really really interesting names. And it was like they will, for instance, like a girl will be named Jean Cola
Gin Cola.
or US Navy, you know.
Oh,
So they will just
I thought those were Dominicans who had those type of names.
yeah, but now they Adolf Hitler, you know, like they will
Oh,
come with all these type of names to the kids. But now there's a law, so
Okay.
if somebody comes to register the name
yeah.
of like, you know, like somebody comes with US Navy or USNAVI, you know,
Us-
they will be like, no, you cannot register your kid because they don't want to traumatize the kid.
I saw some. I saw a meme it was a meme or some short video on Instagram one time, and that's how I found out about Dominicans. And when it comes to naming, how Dominican kids in New York discovered how their parents pick their names. It's like, oh, but I just saw this stuff. It looked interesting. That's your name. That's how I named you. Like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I wasn't aware of that, and that's how I found out about US Navy,
Yeah.
and they're like, actually, that you named me after the US Navy.
Yeah, USNAVI,
I
yeah.
was like, oh man, I was like, I'm glad I hadn't run into somebody named US Navy, because yeah, that would have been embarrassing. Because your name is US Navy? No, US Navy. Oh.
Yeah, different.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
like they made this girl, her name is Lady Diana.
Oh,
Like Lady D, but like the first one is
Yeah.
Lady, which it's not a name, you know?
yeah.
So
See,
her name.
I think that's the difference between people in Ecuador and people like Nigerians. Like my niece, one of my nieces, she's her nickname is Princess.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is Lady. So some of us we give you the nicknames
Mm.
and then going by your real name. So they all grew up with the whole family addressing them by
With the
Princess, Lady.
Yeah,
But those were just nicknames.
yeah.
Now I think there might be some people with those real names, but
Yeah.
it's not as big as like the Dominican and Ecuador, like I'm hearing. the Adolf Hitler. There's places in Africa that
Or
I've
Stalin.
heard. Of Stalin also,
Stalin.
yes. But I think Hitler is the one that because I know when I saw an article one time and people were like surprised, like what Africans name someone Hitler, and then they saw a guy who I think was in Namibia named Adolf
Yeah.
Hitler, and they were like, why? And then funny enough, he had the mustache. I
Yeah,
don't think he
horrible.
did it intentionally, but it's just the way he
Yeah.
shaved his mustache, and they just caught him on the wrong day with the
Yeah.
picture. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
man. Well, I have a distant cousin on my uncle's side, one of my uncle's side, because I have family who are Ghanaians, and his name is Adolf. So when he moved to Nigeria, he's Ghanaian, and when he will meet people and they're like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Adolf." They're like, "Ah, where you from?" I'm from Ghana. And your name is Adolf. Why's your name Adolf? No, that's what my parents named me. Adolf. Like Adolf Hitler? They say yes. So they name you Adolf. I'm not why they name you Adolf? I don't know. My parents like the name Adolf. Adolf. You see, like the person is thinking that, like, what? Adolf. You're the first Adolf I've met in my life. Like, Nigerians, like, they're wrapping their head like around, like, Adolf. But to me, I was just like, oh, you're Adolf? Okay.
Yeah.
You're a distant cousin of mine. Okay, fine. That's cool. Man. You're Adolf. And it was until I moved here, I was like, oh, well, actually, I've met Germans. And I asked Germans, oh, how many Germans? Is Adolf a common name? Oh, we don't name ourselves
Yeah.
Adolf. Like, oh, so it's the Africans who like, oh, Adolf, okay, that's cool. And then my kid Adolf, like, oh no, what have you done to that kid?
It's like there's like this football player. His name is Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember.
the last name is Quiñones, so it's like first name
so-
Michael, middle name Jackson,
Oh, so we're living
Uh,
his first and middle name. Wow.
and the last name is of course Quiñones or
Nobody
whatever.
knows that name.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's why there's a guy, Nelson Mandela, but I think he's Brazilian.
yeah, they do a lot. So that's why like
I was like, why? How? Because I remember the day I heard that name, Nelson Mandela. I was like, Nelson Mandela plays football when? Since what? I'm like, wow, y'all just that kid better be good. Because if you're not good, the insults are gonna be coming like, wow, your name is Nelson Mandela. You can't even play football. Why are you playing? Why are you here? Like, man, stop setting up your kids like that.
Yeah.
Stop. Like, just.
yeah, don't do that to your kids.
Like Michael Jackson, I never knew he had a last name. I just thought his real name, his first and last name was Michael Jackson. I was like, wow, that's quite cool. Are you going to be doing the moonwalk after you score a goal? That's what everybody's expecting him to do that. If he scores a goal, we're all waiting like, okay, you going to do it? No? Oh, disappointed. That's so disappointing. Are you going to sing? Are you going to grab the mic and do something? No. And Paul man is just like, hey man, I'm just
and you're a soccer player.
I'm just a soccer player. I don't do all that. I don't do karaoke. No. What's all this you all expect from me? I'm sorry, man. Your name Michael Jackson. We just want some dance moves.
Yeah.
We came here to see a concert. That's all. I'm sorry. I love this question about names. You don't know where to take you. But yeah, beautiful. So, can you introduce us to your place of birth and what your childhood was like?
Yeah, so I'm from Ecuador. I grew up in a city called Guayaquil, which is the biggest city in my country.
Oh.
It's not the capital is Quito, but we
Yeah.
have like the biggest population, and there was also like because we're by the port, so
Okay.
we're in the
port
a port city.
Yeah.
There's a lot of commerce and
Mhm.
there's a lot of like like business kind of. So that's where I grew up. Have a pretty good childhood. I like most of my family lives in Ecuador, so it was really nice growing up with my my mom, my dad, my siblings, and then go every weekend to my one grandma, going to the other grandma with my cousins, and then it's like we're 2 hours so we're 1 hour away from like the closest beach.
Mm.
So we have a house in the beach, so we'll go like sometimes during the summer on long weekends to playas. So it was like really nice, like waking up, like going to the beach, like getting like this little shellfish, and
Oh.
so it was a pretty good childhood. We also went a lot to we went to the highlands because we have family in Quito. So we'll go to the highlands and go around
So Quito is
visiting.
the highlands
Yeah, Quito is it's like 3,200 meters from
above
altitude above sea.
level. Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty high.
Okay. Yeah.
So one of the things you learn is like once you land in Quito
Mm-hmm.
or you go by car, whatever you do, you cannot like run because you
Wow.
are like
Yeah.
Guayaquil is at sea level. It's like 2 meters above sea, so
Mhm.
it's like pretty much sea level. So like you
Your
need to get
oxygen,
adjusted. Yeah.
exactly.
Otherwise, you get like pretty sick. You can get pretty sick. And I remember like when Ashwin first time came to Ecuador, we went to Quito, and I told him, "You don't run in Quito because it's really, really high, so you can get really sick. Like you'll get like your like low blood pressure. You don't realize when you get there until you start doing it." So he ran to get the bags, and I was like, "No, don't do that." And then, of course, he got sick.
Yeah.
But everybody got sick. Everybody got sick in the highlands, and but I really enjoy because like we will go around like all Ecuador. Like we used to travel a lot with my family, especially to the highlands, and then like to the beach and we also have some family in. They have like they own some land in another province called Los Rios. So we'll go to their like kind of farm. It was like really nice because then you get like you eat so much and like a lot of like we all different type of animals and plantains and all the stuff, and you go to the horses and everything. So it was like pretty nice childhood. So we'll travel all over Ecuador. We also went to Galapagos. That was very beautiful. I never went to the jungle because one time we planned to go to the jungle and then the trip got canceled, and then for whatever reason we never went back.
As kids?
As kids, yes.
Okay.
Yes. But yeah, it was nice. We also will go to Miami a few times as kids, to Disney. I think I've been to Disney I don't know, with my family like 7, 8 times,
Okay.
So it was nice. And then we have family, well, I still have family in Cleveland, so we'll go visit them in Cleveland. I used to have family in New York, so I will also go.
Part of your childhood was coming to New York.
Yeah, New York, Cleveland, and
Miami.
Miami, Orlando. It was kind of like
Okay.
doing that little trip.
Mm-hmm.
So it was fun. I really enjoyed my childhood, and then yeah. So like and each part is different. Like like for instance, like I don't know, like growing in Guayaquil, like you see like so many, like it's very like commerce oriented, very business. And I think everybody's like trying to hustle, and you see a lot of like the frugal innovators. Then you go to a beach and then you just like appreciate like like a nice sunset. Like it's like so nice. You are like the house is right in front of the beach, so you see like the sunset every day. So it's so beautiful. Or going to the highlands and seeing like different I think Ecuador has beautiful scenery, and I grew up watching all of it. And Galapagos, of course, this is like beautiful island with very diverse flora and fauna.
Mm-hmm.
So like I really, really like I love
You
every
got
time
exposed to-
we went to travel, you
Yeah.
know, and then you like, well, like, you also like, we have a lot of fruits, but it's interesting that even though we're like same country, like the fruit tastes a little bit different depending
Where you are.
where you are. And Ecuador is tiny. It's a tiny country, but we are so...
Well, it sounds very with the
So
diversity.
diversity.
Yeah, it
Yes.
sounds large.
No, it's like I think in Texas there could be like three, four Ecuadors. Like
Wow.
we're tiny, tiny, but we're super diverse. So I grew up with like a lot of exposure to, I don't know, city, nature, beach. I also like we went a couple times to U.S., so it was also
Mm.
pretty nice. So yeah, I did travel a lot. So and also like I went to an American school, so I have uh like I also was exposed to the language, the English language,
Mm-hmm.
since I was a little kid. So I guess that was also super helpful to come to the U.S.
Yeah. So, with that being said, what do you consider your favorite childhood memory to be?
Okay, so I was really little, but do you remember the comet, Halley comet?
Hmm. And I remember the name.
Yeah. So it was gonna come. I don't remember when I was really little, and you can see it. I don't know. I don't know if it has come again or it's not gonna come until like 200 years after. But everyone was making this big deal about the comet coming. So I was, how old was like 4 or 5? I was little. Um, and my grandfather said like we should go to see the comet. So we all like that time the house in the beach belonged to my grandfather. So it was like a really nice house, and so he told all his grandkids and family to let's go to the beach to see the comet Halley. So we all went to the beach, and because it's like in the city you cannot see it because there's
Yeah.
so many lights.
Mm-hmm.
At that time there were like, it's like a small town, so there's not that many buildings. Like you can see all the stars. So I remember we all went to watch the comet Halley, and so we were like just there, waiting. And I remember seeing the comet, like, cause like the sky was like so, like you can see every little star. It was so beautiful. So I still remember, like we all went that. I don't remember if it was a weekend or what day, but I remember we all packed our stuff and went to see the comet. And
Wow.
nobody, like, I don't know when the comet's coming again, but probably it's gonna come. I think it's gonna come when I'm around like 80 or 90. So who knows? I'm gonna see the comet
So
Halley again.
you'll be the one gathering the grandkids or all the little
Yeah,
kids around. Like, come
come.
on, let's go,
Let's go
let's
outside.
go.
You have to see it outside. If you see it in the city, you
No,
cannot
no,
see it.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course. So did the comment look? Did it?
Beautiful.
Yeah. How could you? How do you describe that? Because I don't think I've ever seen a comment.
You see the tail of the comet. So you see like a star with
Mm-hmm.
like a long, long tail. So I remember we have my grandfather got like some of like these like what's the name? Telescopes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see it. Like of course
Oh.
it's just like it's not like comets go like maybe like 1 minute after comet's gone. But
Wow.
but it's just like really magnificent to see like this thing that goes in the sky and
Mm-hmm.
it's so bright, and even though there's other stars, it just has like this halo and this little like you know it's a comment. But it was really beautiful, and it was also like this. It was not just a comet. It was like that we all went, we stay up night because I was little, so I was not supposed to stay up too late. But
Yeah.
it was really nice to see how the comet went, and you see all the scenes. And everybody was trying to see the comet because it's not gonna happen in a
Mm-hmm.
long time.
Yeah. That's for many people that's a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah,
So I I would have loved to experience something like that. I actually wrote down a space related question for you, and I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting to hear this. So I might still come back to that question later on. But that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Yeah, that's something that most definitely would have loved to experience. But especially now that I'm a parent, and every once in a while, you get those questions about stars, and my kid goes to sleep. Even before my kid was born, I'd always thought about it, like maybe I should have this. What do you call them? The lights that
Yeah, it
show
goes.
those
Yeah,
stars,
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of. I was like, yeah, maybe put that in a room and turn off the lights, and then we watched Miss Marvel, and she likes to go to sleep with the lights off, but she has something similar. So my kid already had hers in her room, but she likes switching the lights to different colors.
Yeah.
And after seeing one of her favorite superheroes sleeps with something like that, she's like, yeah, okay, now I only want it on this color now. I'm like, okay, all right.
Now they have a lot of like those scenes because
Yeah.
we wanted also to buy one for Edgar because I don't know how much he appreciates it, but I
Yeah,
think in my
Klara loves. I think they do. You should like sometimes I chilling on bed and we're just talking about I'm going to the stars and this and it's my spaceship
yeah
and like we play along and when she's like you want to come on the spaceship and yeah okay okay I'll drop you off here. I'm like, all right, you just gonna drop me off on the rock? Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully you remember to pick me up though. Give me enough oxygen while I'm here, that kind of thing. But just let them run wild with their imagination, kind
yeah
of thing. But yeah, so but that's just the most part of it. But sometimes we might go chill in the backyard and just look up. But it's something that at Lincoln Center, there's pre-pandemic. That's even before Klara was born. I used to go there a lot to watch the opera, and you see a lot of guys with a telescope out there
yeah
looking up. And one day I spoke to one of them, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll come out here a lot. It's easier to see the sky, watch the stars from here." I was like, thought about this. I guess I lost interest for a while. So I was like, maybe one day I'll come out here and chill with you guys. And then the
yeah
pandemic happened, and I was like, And I was thinking about, I was like, man, maybe I should come out there one of these days with my kid.
yeah.
Experience.
I remember when I was little, there was this book about the. So I always mix them up. Like when when it's the day and the moon goes on top of the sun. That's a lunar eclipse or it's a solar eclipse.
When the sun goes on the moon?
No. So like it's the like for instance, like if we go out and then
Yeah.
the moon's like goes in front of the sun and
Oh.
then they get dark.
Yeah.
Is that a solar eclipse or a
Oh.
moon?
Oh, yeah, I mixed that up too. Well, you asked me. That's
So anyway, I used to read this book about this little chicken who is going around minding herself, and then she sees like the sun is being eaten,
Mm-hmm.
and then she started like telling everybody, and nobody believes her, and then she goes around and try to alert all the animals in the farm, and then finally like people start like looking like it's getting dark, and everybody's like so afraid, and then whatever, like then the sun gets out because like the eclipse had passed, and I thought it was like so cool. And then I think there was an eclipse. Remember, like it was during Trump's era, and they were
Oh yeah.
and I remember like my favorite book as a child, and I tried to watch the eclipse, but I was like trying. It's just like it's hard in the city,
Yeah.
So
It was very brief too, right?
it was very brief, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like in the chicken book,
I didn't have the glasses.
I also
they
like
recommended.
They recommend some
Glasses.
type of glasses.
That's why
So.
people. Well,
Yeah, that was
we know who stared at it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh boy, you're not supposed to
Yeah,
stare at it like
but
that.
yeah, every time like, and now it's easier with like like oh, there's like this type of eclipse, there's this type, but I always try to kind of like if able like to see like or like there's the pink moon or something like that. I try to see it because I just think it's so interesting, and maybe one day when Edgar is a little older and there's something like Comet Halley, I will rent, I'll go somewhere because in New York it's just hard to see the
So
whole scene.
did you catch the blood moon when it happened?
Yeah, I was like I try, but it couldn't, because if you really want to see it, you have to get out of
Yeah,
the
you have to,
city.
you get out.
So you see it, but it's not like
Yeah,
us.
yeah. I relate to that. Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful though. So after experiencing that, what did younger Bertha want to be? Let's say when you were between the ages of 8 and 15. If I were to bring that Bertha,
Yeah.
if I had my time travel machine and I bring that Bertha here right now and say, yeah, what you gonna be?
So I think like that's like a pretty like boring answer, I guess, because like I didn't have like my dad. He was a electrical engineer,
Mm-hmm.
and he owned his own company. So I just wanted to be an electrical engineer
Oh,
and continue my dad's kind of like company. I was like, I'm gonna grow it up until like I like he owns like there's this building. He owns two office,
mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I'm gonna buy the whole building,
Hey.
and I'm gonna have the whole thing. So I wanted just to be an electrical engineer and or like any type of engineer. But if a few years before, I have like the typical one, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be I used to go to ballet classes. So it's like a ballerina or something like that. But then I was like, no, I want to be an engineer as my dad.
Oh. So engineer, astronaut, still within the same.
Science.
So your favorite childhood memory? I was trying to see if you were how far away you went from your childhood memory, your favorite childhood memory. I'm seeing that connecting thread. It's in there. It's in there, and so when you decided to go to college, you started college in Ecuador.
So I study mechanical engineering
Okay, so
in Ecuador.
you staying on track.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason is like when I was in high school, we have physics and all this stuff. There's like there's got something called like international baccalaureate, something like that.
Yeah.
And basically you have to study a little bit more to get that exam and pass the exam, whatever. So I didn't like electrical engineering. So I was like, I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
I don't like I don't like the theories of. They were too abstract for me. I didn't like computer science. I didn't like but I still really like physics. So I like mechanical engineering because it's like very tangible, So you can like electricity. You can you can imagine how the electricity flow or whatever.
Yeah.
In mechanical, you can see the turbine move and then generates like whatever. So it's like more tangible for me. So
you went from the more from the theory to the
practice.
the practical.
Yeah.
You are more hands on.
Yeah, so that's why I like more. So that's why I studied mechanical engineering.
Okay.
And it was funny because when I was a kid, I used to talk a lot about like, oh, I really like how my dad's doing this. My mom is an engineer. She studied civil engineering, but she never. I think she practiced, but when she was like right out of college, and then she got married, and then she became a professor, So she was being a professor, like, I don't know, she'll go from 8 to 12,
Yep.
and then we'll come back. She will be there. So she was part-time professor, but she didn't do engineering projects anymore. So for me, I thought like, now I'm a professor. So I was thinking, why did she study to be a professor, now I'm doing the same as her. But anyway, like I thought like when my dad was doing like the projects he was managing, and like they were like, some of them were like pretty big, like a whole neighborhood or whatever, or even like, I don't know, half Brooklyn. He will do like the whole thing. So I thought it was like really, really cool what he was doing. So I used to say it a lot. And then I got my degree. And my dad told my brother, like, oh, who knew she would become an engineer? And my brother was like, she will talk about engineer all her life. I think you were not listening to her. But she was talking about being an engineer all her life.
Yep. It sounds like, yep, you got the engineering bug early on.
Yeah.
Wow. So your siblings, any one of them an engineer, or you the only person who turned out to be an engineer?
So my brother also my brother started
Okay.
electronics engineering. But every year he will say, this is the last year I'm in this. He wanted to be a designer.
What?
And my dad was like, why? Why? Like if you become an engineer, you have all my contacts, you have everything kind of like laid down for you. And every year he'll go back to study engineering. And then the year is over and he will go back to my dad. Says like, no, I want to be a designer.
What type of designer?
More like a branding and advertisement and that type of designer.
Oh.
Yeah. So like a graphic designer.
Okay.
So he only have 2 classes left at the engineering school. And he said like, that's it, I'm quitting. And my dad was like, well, you have 2 classes, literally like 2 classes to get the degree. So my dad make an agreement with him. It's like, if you finish, like, you don't have to finish now, but you have to finish the engineering degree one day, in a year, 2 years, I'll pay for the graphic designer. So he did. He ended up having 2, but now he's a professor at branding. So he ended up with the branding, that's what he really liked.
Yeah, if you got a passion for it, you got a passion for it. That's you can't, I get it.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, it's similar to what from my side, a lot of parents did that too. Like we are doctors, you got to be doctors, or we have the connections to put you through. Go join military or join. Become an accountant, work in banking, that kind of thing, and it's like, but the kid doesn't have the passion for that.
Yeah.
But
he did say that by going through the engineering school did help him understand better the graphic
the point
design.
I was going to make too, because even someone who had been on the podcast much earlier, guys can check out Gajinda, who I fondly refer to as Uncle G. He's retired now. He's the oldest guest that I've had on the podcast. He went to school for engineering, and in India it's very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
That I've forgotten what that institute is called. That's like their famous school of like all the top. They fight to get into that school, and he got into that school. That is like their scholarship, and it's crazy. And he got into that school way back in the days. He's gonna be 86 this year, or 87, 86 or 87, and he got into school for engineering. He's on scholarship, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not feeling. It's not my passion. I don't have a passion for this." But however, he's like, "I like to draw. And I'm good at this," and he wants to go into architecture. And everybody's like, "No, you don't do this. You don't have that." But however, he found a professor who was like, "Okay, we can work with you. All right, let's push him into architecture." But most people are like, "No, you should continue on this path." But it was through that same engineering that he wasn't feeling, but he still saw that there was something in there that he found a way into his passion, which was architecture, and that's what he used to become a world famous architect.
Yeah.
So just because the person does not feel 100% buy into that path doesn't mean that they can't find a way, a niche through it.
Yeah.
And the
And it's,
designing,
yeah.
engineering includes, a lot of
Yeah.
drawing and designing too.
And also, like, it helps you understand a little bit like different mindsets, and
Yeah.
different perspective when
Mm-hmm.
you are in contact with,
Mm-hmm.
people that are not as whatever you're studying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm also glad that your dad came around and wasn't one of these parents that's like, I put you through, you gonna stay there, you gonna die, junior, and that kind of thing. I'm always glad to hear
Yeah.
of such stories that he saw that, okay, I will just do this, and he reached a compromise too. It's beautiful. So I'm glad to hear that your brother got to be a designer,
Yeah.
and yeah, because. And I think the in the old days there are too many people who just had engineering and thought you have to. It's only limited to one thing. And I'm like, even if you go look at the ancient world, and you see places like Egypt, places that we still can't explain how they did certain things that they did. There's engineering, and there's designing. There's a
Yeah.
whole lot of things that if you break it down, you're like, wow, all these things are related into
Yeah.
stuff that we have today, and we just need to stop thinking so one-dimensional like we do in the present, and you be able to allow students find their niche and their passion and go where they need to go
Yeah.
and solve problems that needs to be solved. So enough about that. I'm just going to say something so that Josh will be able to figure out what to do. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we shall dive into your being in America and how you went about that. Hi, everyone. If you're new to the podcast or a returning listener and you enjoy what we are doing here, did you know that you could enjoy more of our content and also support our work via Patreon? For as little as $3 per month, you get access to loads of bonus content that you'll find nowhere and be the first to the latest news. Don't miss out. Go to patreon.com/White Label American Pod, or just search for White Label American Podcast on Patreon. Patreon. Welcome back. Thank you all for staying with us. And before I continue, I forgot to let you all know in the audience, if you guys have anything to share about your names, let me know. Let me know if people still go by Adolf or Adolf Hitler, or what are the fun things y'all do with
Usnavi.
names. Yeah, Usnavi, if y'all can compete with Ecuador or the Dominicans. I've not had anybody from Dominican Republic on the podcast. So yeah, I'm working on that. I know somebody reached out to me today about wanting to talk about voodoo in, I think, was it Dominican or Haiti or Dominican Republic. I thought he was Portuguese, but I'll work on that. But yeah, audience, let me know, share the stories with me. Let me know what's going on in your places, and let me know if you're one of those who went to university for something and then found a passion in a different course, and share them. Let's know. Tag me on social media. How to contact me on the website. Hit the contact button, or you can leave a voice note also. So back to Bertha. You are now with mechanical engineering, and you finished with that.
Yeah. I did finish my
You finished your
Yeah.
bachelorette in that, and so when did you decide to start looking at America, like moving here as an adult?
It is funny because like when I was like little, and like even when I was like 21, like around, I all my life I wanted to study abroad and go back to Ecuador. So I will go study, learn this, and then apply it to be part of like my dad's business, because I remember I told you I wanted to
Gonna
kind of
take over.
continue,
Yeah.
so I wanted to get ideas and kind of like implement it to innovate, he has a construction business, but I wanted to innovate and put like new stuff. So I was like, okay, that will be the scene. But all my life, I was like, I'm gonna go back to Ecuador. So it was never like, I'll go to the U.S. and I'll stay in the U.S. That was my sister's dream, which, by the way, like, she's in Ecuador and I'm here. But she that was her dream, to study in the U.S. and she came, but then she went back to Ecuador. Like, she wanted to stay in the U.S. So my dream was never to stay abroad. My dream was to go abroad and come back.
Come back. Okay.
So then after I finished my undergrad degree, I started working in an environmental consulting company. And actually there, like, I was working in like more like air quality control and noise control and those type of things, like how they, like, I was kind of like assessing how they are doing in different manufacturing companies or like energy companies. So, but then it's like when I realized that even though I like engineering, I like more like the project management itself than the engineering aspect. So, and then I decided I wanted. So first I saw like an MBA, but I like more like like a master in engineering and technology management, because it's more related with just engineering. MBA is more like more broad, more business, like I like, and I don't care if I have to manage. Like, I'm not really interested in managing, for instance, like a flower shop. I'm more interested in managing like tech projects or engineering related projects.
Okay.
So that's why, like, when I was like working in this company, in this consulting company, I even like I was a junior, but then I was doing a lot of like this monitoring air quality control. You have to climb a chimney and measure the emissions, and I hate it. I hated doing all this like stuff, and I was like, why I'm doing this when I can figure out a cheaper way than me to do that and a more efficient way. So I put together a team of technical people that were like pretty good at doing that. They were cheaper than me, and I put a whole program. I wrote a manual, created a manual for the company and make it way more efficient. And I also didn't want to continue doing that. And I saw it was like, I really like it, that I was able to kind of like take this project. Like, first I didn't want to do the monitoring. I saw it was like kind of useless for me to be there. And I saw like there's an opportunity here, and these people are really trained on doing that, and they're really good. Even like, like if the equipment broke, sometimes the equipment will break for whatever reason. And because I was doing with a senior engineer, which was like even worse. Why would you send a senior engineer to be doing measuring emissions? You have to stay there the whole day, and just you have to wait, measure SO2, CO, and sometimes the equipment will break, and because we're not good at repairing like electronic stuff, we will have to go back, send this equipment to repair. And so I was like, it was a little dumb. So instead I said like, why we shouldn't take like the technicians that if something goes bad, they will know, they will be able to repair at the spot
right there.
Instead of like, and sometimes sometimes you'll be out of the city doing these emissions. I have done emissions in the middle of the ocean, in like this like oil platforms, and you are in the middle of the ocean, the equipment breaks, you have lost a lot of time and money.
Wow.
So I was like, why are we doing this so like inefficient way? So I was like, they don't need us, like they need us to understand like kind of like what are the, like if you see SO2 in a bunker oil energy place, and energy power facility, and it's like between this range, like we as engineers, we're not like, okay, like this is a normal range, which if it's like, I don't know, if it's zero SO2, you're like, okay, there's something wrong with my equipment. It has to be something, you know. So you need us to kind of like put the ranges, the numbers that you're expecting to see, but the measurement itself could be done by anyone. And repairing equipments, we're like the worst people to do it, you know.
So yeah,
you need like the knowledge to understand like
technicians
if what
for
you
that.
are, if you're like what you're seeing is correct, you know, expected values. But that, like if you just put it on a paper and somebody is doing the measurements and it's out of range, you're like, okay, something's wrong with my equipment, let's check my equipment. But if you're like, if this is the range that I'm expected, then you continue measurement, you know, to continue measures. So, and especially we couldn't repair, we didn't have the skill sets to repair the equipment if there was something wrong, you know.
So you, by discovering this problem and discovering, so in a way you discovered your passion wasn't in wasting time,
Yeah, never.
but at the same time you had a passion for not only saving time but also for managing.
Yeah, yeah. And I created a whole program, you know, which, you know, like we put people that have the skill sets for doing this,
Yeah.
and they were not there in the company all the time. It was just like when they needed, they will hire them, they will send them. It was like way cheaper, like, and then like you don't want to go back to the city and say like, no, we couldn't measure because the equipment broke, you know. And there were also other things like, you know, like that were done wrong. Like for instance, like sometimes they didn't check the equipment, so I was like little things like checking the equipment before,
inspection
you
before
know,
heading out to the
so
field.
I make a whole manual doing that, and I was
So like a standard operating
yeah,
procedure.
like so, and then I didn't have to measure again because I hate it. Like it's really tiring, you know. Like, and sometimes it's like, sometimes you need somebody that, like, you know, I will go, like I will drop them, make sure everything is going well.
Yeah.
But then I won't stay the whole day, you know. I will just go back and just write reports and do stuff like that. So I really like, you know, like the managerial part of doing that. So that's why I decided to study engineering and technology management. So I went to Portland, Oregon.
Oh.
Yeah. So I applied to a bunch of places.
Not where I was expecting, but okay.
Yeah, I applied to a bunch of places. But I wanted to go to a place that I didn't want to go to New York because, like, I've been living, like, so the way it's in Ecuador and in many places, it's like you live with your parents until you get married, you know?
Yes.
So it's not like you're 18 and you're out of your house.
Especially for a woman.
You know?
Yeah.
So you are, like, I was with my parents and, like, all the time until, like, in my case, until I went and studied abroad, you know? So I didn't want to go to a place that I thought, like, even though Guayaquil is like, what, like 3.5 million people, you know, I didn't want to go to a place like a crazy, you know, a place that, so I wanted to go like a smaller place where I will feel safe, first time being alone, you know, first time managing, like even things like cooking, you know, like so I wanted to go to a more like calm paced place. So I applied to a few places. I also applied to Case in Cleveland, but because my aunt is there. But then the one that kind of managed my attention more, and I also had like a better scholarship deal, was in Portland. And I ended up going Portland, which is so far from everyone, you know. And then it was nice, but after 2 years, I got bored of Portland. It's very different, you know. It's a beautiful city.
Yeah, let's talk about the difference. So you arrive in Portland. Had you been to Portland before?
Never,
Okay,
never.
so
I just basically was like applying to a lot of places.
all right. So you arrive in Portland. What was your first experience that let you know you're no longer at home, and this is a brand new place for you?
Well, first, like I, I applied to places that have like they were engineering and technology management.
Yeah.
You know, so this was one of the programs that I really like. So first, like it was my first time flying by myself. You know, to except like if I had been like my company would send me to Quito. You know, but like I know Quito, so it's not like a big deal. So it's the first time I'm flying by myself to outside the country, and so but before that I was trying to figure out how to live, how to find a place where to so I wrote to a professor. So I was going through the website of the department at Portland, and I saw this lady, and I was like, oh my god, this lady looks Ecuadorian. Like, I will swear that she's Ecuadorian. So I wrote to her, and I checked her bio, and actually her mom was from Quito. So I was like, I knew she has an Ecuadorian face. And her dad was from Costa Rica. So I wrote to her and said, hey, how are you? I introduced myself and said, I'm from Ecuador, da 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 da. And I told her, like, I just got accepted and I have no idea how to even find a house, like, first, like, the whole thing, the living part. So she told me, like, oh, there's, like, a group. It's like a Christian group that receive, families that receive people. And you can stay with them the whole time, or you just can stay with them 1-2 weeks and then find your own place. So I reached out to this group, and they put me with a family in Portland.
In Portland. Wow.
Yeah. And they also will like take people from the airport to the family. So they have like the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole setup. Okay.
So it was nice because I was with the family, and I decided I'm not going to stay with them. It was when it was pretty far from school. So, and second, I wanted to have my own experience of,
Well, was it like the family were dropping you at school? Or?
No. They'll tell me, like, you have to take this bus, and then.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But also, like, the part of me of going abroad was kind of like to be able to do things by myself.
To get your own.
And, being with a family kind of like the purpose. It was funny because they are like, oh, like in Portland, they have no idea about, I don't know, the Latin American culture. So they receive me with Mexican food, which is really yummy. Nothing to do with me. And then the next day, they also got Taco Bell. So, like, I was like, for a week, I was eating, like, tacos and Mexican food, which I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. So they're saying, like, Latino, Mexican, So, man, they were pretty nice. And then I found a place. And, like, this professor has this friend who was looking for a roommate, So she introduced me to her friend. We got along. Initially, I was trying to get my own place.
Yeah.
They were really expensive. So I couldn't afford it. And also, like, I have no idea what a studio means, because, like, in my country, they say, well, I'm renting a small suite, which basically means I'm renting a 1-bedroom New York size, which is not, like, I don't know, like a 600, 700 square feet bedroom is considered like a small mini suite,
Yeah.
So when somebody said, like, oh, we only have studios, I said, oh, it's probably like a suite. That's good enough. And then they show me the studio, and I'm like, oh my God, there's no walls. Like, I almost cried when I saw it. And I was like, nope, I cannot live here. This is horrible. So then when I met this girl, her name is Lucy, we got along, and we went, looking for a place together. She had another roommate, so they were looking for 3 people, so it would be cheaper.
Yeah.
So we ended up with in a house that was like, still I couldn't walk to school, but it was like a 10 minutes by bus. It wasn't bad,
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I ended. But so I guess like from the beginning, I was like, I'm not home anymore.
Yeah.
But at least the first week or so, I have some people that were really nice that helped me find my way.
Mm-hmm.
Which like, I think if I was like just sent to a hotel or something like that, would have been pretty bad, because you don't even know how to look for things.
Yeah, that would have been a whole different ball game entirely.
Yeah.
So you did 2 years in Portland,
Mm-hmm.
and how did was that after which you ended up in New York?
Yeah. So I did my master's there, and I like it. It's just like, I thought I liked nature. Then I went to Portland, and I was like, these people are really into nature. I'm not a nature person at all. Like, oh my God, everyone was like dressed up like if they were going hiking every day, So I was like, okay, I not as nature as I thought I was. I'm more city than nature. And I was like, this is a little too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished my master's in Portland. And at the time, I was a little bit confused of what to do with my life. Had a boyfriend, have break up with the boyfriend, should I go back to Ecuador? Everybody's like applying for getting, I don't know if you know what's an OPT. It's like a permission when you are a student to continue working for a year in the country. So I applied.
I think my friend was talking about that recently.
Yeah. So I applied for that, but I applied like, everybody's like looking for jobs in, I don't know, February. I'm like looking like, what should I do with myself? Like, where I'm going? Kind of like trying to find myself.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has applied for OPT by April. I'm applying for OPT in June, because I'm like not really sure what to do with my life. And then I stayed the summer because I was teaching Spanish in Portland. They gave me a full scholarship if I taught Spanish, which is really hard. Like, of course I can speak Spanish, but it's hard to teach a language. It's very different to teach your language than to know how to speak your language. So I have to learn how to teach Spanish. So during the summer, they will, like, our salary will like triple, So they're like, do you want to teach Spanish during summer? I was like, yes, I want to teach Spanish because I don't have money to live in Portland. So I taught Spanish, and then I was still like, oh, what should I do? Should I apply for jobs? But it was just like, I really didn't know what to do with my life at that time. So I decided I'm just going to finish summer and go to Ecuador. So I did. And I went back and I said to my dad, can I work with you? So he's like, sure, come help me. So then I learned about like managing a little bit like construction management and a little bit about making budgets and those stuff. But I really miss doing research. Like I miss it so much, because with my dad, it would be more like, I will learn more about like the practice itself of construction, of how to put together budget, project. Especially budget is super important when you're doing construction.
Yeah.
But I wasn't doing that much research at all, And I really missed the research part, which I was doing a lot when I was doing my master's. And I miss it. And I said, like, to my family, I think I want to go back to do my Ph.D. And they're like, oh my God, when are you going to stop studying? and I apply, but this time I wanted to go back to New York because I told you I had family in New York.
Yeah.
I don't have family anymore. But so that when I was in Portland, I visit my family in Cleveland, but I also visit my family in New York.
New York.
And I saw like, oh my God, like why I was so afraid of this place, because
Mm-hmm.
I found it like, oh, this place is
Oh,
so
well,
nice,
yeah, we all hear stuff.
you know.
I get it.
And I've been in New York as a child,
But
so
it's different,
but it's different,
when you become an adult and
Yeah,
the stuff you're hearing, you've been hearing from childhood and
yeah,
in
yeah.
movies and all that too.
And yeah, like my childhood memory of New York is the Bronx Zoo. Like it's like the subway. Like the punks. So I went to New York when I was doing my master's, and I was like, oh my God, I love this place. So I applied to different places. I applied to Portland but it was like my backup plan if I don't get New York, and I applied to New York, and I got accepted in New York. So I was like, okay,
Where in New York?
let's go to New York, NYU.
NYU. Another NYU. We got a bunch of NYU on this podcast.
Yeah.
NYU needs to come sponsor this podcast. So, for the sake of time, we don't have much time left. I'll have to jump forward. We need to bring you back for a part 2. In fact, you and Ashwin need to come sit down so you can all talk about Rise again. Hopefully Ashwin will allow you to talk. That's the problem. Ashwin talks a lot too.
That's true.
So, but you let me see. I'm going to just ask quick questions now because we don't really have much time left. But so you go to NYU. What was that experience like for you?
That's like a long answer. So I guess
I just break it down as short as possible. We'll still come in your next time you come. We'll dive into NYU
Yeah.
proper, and then I'm just going quickly.
it was nice. It was nice because I already have like the experience of living by myself. I already have the experience of being in another city. So some of the stuff were kind of like, okay, I already been there, done that, like finding a place to live and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like, like doing like, of course, it's not the same doing research at a master level than a PhD level. It's way, way more intense. But some of the stuff I kind of like understood it better than when I was in Portland. But it was nice because first, like, I have access to since like I was kind of like having access to New York City. It was really nice having access to like I was in a small like my faculty is pretty tiny on the PhDs, so you are, which is good and bad. Good because you can interact more with your professors. Because like at the time I started my PhD, there were one full-time PhD, then it was me, the other full-time PhD, and like one visitor scholar, and 2 part-time PhDs. So it's super tiny, but so you can talk with the professors more.
Yeah.
At the same time, you miss this peer interaction. But then we also were allowed to take other classes. Like I was in the engineering school and I was able to take classes at Wagner and at Stern. So it's kind of cool because you're able to know other fields.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice. It was really enriching and really like nice to go around. Small faculty, which is pros and cons of like I don't have anybody to talk. But at the same time, more people in the faculty. So it was like, doing the PhD research, it's like a really long story that I'm not going to tell you now, but it's really interesting because then I learned that I really, really like collecting data, and I'm still like the testing scenes, doing like for research, and even now when I'm a professor, for me data is so important, because that's where you really understand if the theory makes sense. So that's something I got it from NYU. And then the other part is like, because you're doing your PhD and you submit your papers to different parts of the world, I was able to travel all over, which I was doing before, but now I was like being paid
Hey.
to go to. I went to Thailand. I went to Shanghai. I went to Mykonos. I went to Florence and Rome. I went to Kenya. So that was fun to, you know,
All right.
talk
So
about your stuff and go
those are
around.
stuff we're gonna cover in part two, most definitely. And I have stuff to ask you about AI also. So I can't. We'll have to pause it there because I don't have enough time. That's my fault. I should have the stuff I should have done earlier, but I didn't do it. But that's on me, not you, because I would love to get into all that, and we don't even have enough time to go into rice. But however, I can't let you leave without asking you some fun questions.
Sure.
Everything has been fun, but there's some fun questions that I still have to get out of you. So you're in New York. You from Ecuador. You hung out with the forest people of Portland a little bit. When it comes to cuisine, oh, there's this question from Ashwin. I'll see if I can still ask that. When it comes to cuisine, what is your favorite go-to cuisine?
Well, Ecuadorian, no.
Oh, you're loyal to Ecuador. I thought
Yeah.
because in New York, you got so many good food here. So
Like
I but
I think it's like the one that comforts me. You know,
okay,
like like you know, like
you have a name.
like you know, like for instance, like some stuff like a seco de pollo. You know, like which is like a sort of like curry like dish. Like you know, like it's not my favorite Ecuadorian dish, but it's the one that I know how to do it fast.
Okay.
You know, so like when I'm in Ecuador, like that's not like the thing that I asked for the first day. Like after like a week, I will ask for a seco de pollo, but that's the one that I know how to do
That's a couple,
pretty
yeah.
fast and pretty well.
There's a variation of that from other countries too, right?
Yeah, I think they have some
'Cause I
like,
think I've seen
something
that in-
similar. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've had that at the Ecuadorian place on Fifth Avenue. Yes, I think I've had it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like it's ringing familiar in my brain.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think I've had it as a
So
couple.
I do like kind of like I like you know grew up with Ecuadorian food, but I still like different cuisines like Indian food. You know.
Oh, okay.
Which
I shouldn't be jumping.
I like it. It's really nice. I like
Which Indian food is your favorite?
tandoori's,
Tandoori's, okay.
tandoori chicken, tandoori paneer. You know all the tandoori's.
Good stuff.
I like more like dry stuff.
Okay.
Which you know for like Indians they like some juice and stuff, and I will like every like
That's
when
a surprise. That's a
yeah
surprise. You
every
prefer
time
the dry-
I go and I ask for like a bunch of dry stuff, they're like, don't you want one with I'm like nope. I want this thing like that. But I also like you know like Mexican. I do like it.
Hey,
Like but I would like just like that family that fed me Mexican food for a week. You know. But I like Peruvian.
The Portland effect still worked.
Yeah. Peruvian is nice.
Yeah, Peruvian is good too.
Italian is also good
Hey,
food.
it's hard not to like
It's
Italian.
hard,
if
yeah.
you
It's-
live in New York too.
Like Greek, like there's so many foods
There's
that
so
I really
many,
like.
there's so
You know,
many.
like it's kind of hard to. But yeah, if I have to, like
Like,
if-
come for my birthday. There'll probably be some Nigerian food there too, or Ghanaian. There'll be some-
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Two last questions for you. So Ashwin had said I should ask you about Danny DeVito. Is that going to be a long answer or a short answer?
maybe we'll have it for next time.
Okay, because he said there's something about Danny
Yeah,
DeVito that.
yeah. There's something about Danny DeVito.
I was like, okay, just ask her. She has
I
some
know,
knowledge.
I know
was
what
like, okay.
I know about Danny DeVito.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll save that for part 2. All right. So everybody who's on this podcast is considered a dancer. If you claim you don't dance, we'll stop recording right now and kick you out of the studio. So since you're already here, it's too late. You can't deny that you dance. So we need you to name 3 artists that will keep you dancing for at least an hour. So now, you can give us 3 from Ecuador or you can spice things up and give us somebody from India. You can give us
Okay,
Ecuador. You can give us one from Portland if you want to say shout out Portland. However, there's a catch. I know you didn't like Ashwin's choice because he told me that you don't like the artist, the one of the artists that he named, because I got why you don't like the artist. Because yeah, I think Ashwin named three Ecuador, one from Bolivia. But he said one of the artists he named was not a favorite of yours. So um, I normally say you can name from anywhere, not limited to just only where you're from. But if you're gonna name from anywhere, you can't give us the most popular artists. So like Michael Jackson, like the
Michael Jackson
Beyonces.
Quiñones.
Michael Jackson Quinones. Well, if it's Quinones, we'll take him. That's a caveat.
It's like-
Quinones is accepted. So yeah, you can give us Michael Jackson Quinones. But the Beyonces, if you're giving us from Nigeria, Burna Boy, those names are out. They're ruled out. So yes, give us at least three artists that can keep you dancing for an hour.
So it's funny because I was getting ready to come here,
Mm-hmm.
and like I'm just putting my phone, and like music comes starting out, and then this guy gets out. I'm like immediately start dancing,
Hey, see?
and it's this guy named. He's from Colombia. He's Fonseca,
Fonseca.
Mhm.
Oh, I know that. I know him.
and it has so many good songs. Like it's I'm not like he came to New York, but actually didn't want to go with me to the concert, so I ended up not going to see Fonseca. I asked people, no, I wanted to go. So, but like I really like Fonseca, and I was dancing, and I was literally dancing, like getting ready here, putting my makeup, and dancing while I was like getting ready to come here. So
Hey.
yeah, Fonseca for sure. He has
Alright.
so many good songs. I do like a lot of like Colombian artists, like
Oh.
Carlos Vives.
Oh, okay. I know Carlos Vives.
Yeah, Carlos Vives, I
What's
also-
going on? The Colombians getting
Yeah.
all the
I
love.
think they have a lot of like they're pretty popular. We are in South America.
Yeah. But what happened to Ecuador? No love for Ecuador in music.
I don't think we have the best like for dancing.
Yeah.
Like like it's just like for instance like there's like for instance like there's like this guy. He's from all my life I thought he was from Guayaquil, but he is not. But it's kind of like he has like a one hit scene.
No,
So
one
it's,
hit wonders works.
But there's a lot of like one hit wonders in
Mhm.
Guayaquil. Forgot their names, but it's like Intrépidos. That's when I was growing up.
Entrapidos.
Los Intrépidos. Actually, they are from Guayaquil. There's a group from Guayaquil, and they have a lot of music that will keep me dancing. But I don't know if they're singing anymore.
Hey, that qualifies under the rules. We'll take that.
So I guess I got you. One from Guayaquil and two from Colombia.
Okay, we'll take that from from Ecuador, because we don't want. Yeah, we have been only Colombia getting all the love. We might have somebody from Ecuador writing and saying, "Hey, you sure she's from Ecuador? No love for." I'm like, okay. So, final question. Can't thank you enough for coming on the show. What would you like to leave the audience with? It's a freestyle moment. Let it flow out of your heart. It's all yours.
Oh my God. In what sense?
It's coming from you. I'll leave it up to the guest. As far as you just freestyle.
Well, I guess like if you wanna know, like I don't know. I think maybe if you wanna go inside of, like I don't know, like learn a little bit more about me or about yourself, I think you should definitely try traveling. I think traveling is so important because it helps you. It's so hard to think about different things when you're staying in your same place.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it sometimes can be really expensive to travel, but there's also like ways where you can find yourself, like through scholarships, through grants, through different ways. Like, all this conference I went was because, I found my way through. So I think you should always aim to go outside and experience and travel and not just stay where you are, because it's really hard to understand perspective if you don't get exposure to them. So I think it's just good to just go, even in your city. You can travel around, like, like, I don't know how many times, like, people that are in New York and they don't go to the
Other boroughs.
yeah, other boroughs,
Yeah.
other places, other museums.
I
So I
agree.
think it's really important to go outside of your comfort zone and see things. So I I will still be traveling if it
Hey.
was for me, just going outside, exploring things. Like, I remember as a child, we'll go every weekend. Sometimes we have a destination, like, oh, let's go to, like, have this. Sometimes we'll just go out to little towns and go there, eat something. No, like, this city is well known for whatever, pineapple juice. Let's go get pineapple juice and just go and see things. So I think, I don't know, like, something I think is really important.
I
Get
agree.
exposure to other stuff.
I agree with you, and thank you for that. That's why I said it's from your heart. Say it, and you said something great. Many people I've met, within Brooklyn, you've not been to some other parts, and I get it, but at the same time, we have to take that step. Now, there are many places in America I haven't been to. I should, and I know as a black person, there's still fears that I have because I'm like, I want to go to some place. There are places there are still sundown towns. If you know the history of that, you know that as a black person, it's not
Yeah.
safe for you to be there. But I'm not, just because of that doesn't mean I shouldn't still travel. I shouldn't give my kid that experience of, because that's how you create the memories, you create perspectives, and it changes a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we need that. We need that. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. So please let the audience know how they can get in touch with you if they want to connect with you.
Yeah, you can. So I don't know my. But yeah, you can connect me LinkedIn if you want.
Sure,
Or
I'll post the link on
yeah,
in the
I'll
show
send you
notes.
my LinkedIn.
All right. So thank you again for coming on the podcast. We definitely have to arrange a part 2, or what should we call it, part 3, because you've been in this is your second time on the show. So definitely a part 3. So as my people say, umbana for coming on here. That's thank you. As my wife's people say, dankeschön, and I know your people say gracias. Yeah.
Gracias.
So there's a few. I pick thank yous from everywhere. So the French say merci beaucoup, or Swahili is asante sana. So yeah,
Asante sana.
you
Yeah, I
can't, you, can't, you,
remember.
can't, you can't get wrong with letting thank yous from everywhere. So for everyone listening, thank you for the privilege of your company. Appreciate the support. Don't forget to you can join us on Patreon. You can donate, buy us a cup of coffees, buy our merch, 5-star reviews. Keep it coming in. See you at the next episode next week. Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoyed the show, please give a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. You can follow the show on all social media platforms. Visit the White Label American website for links for donations, episodes, feedback, guests, merch, and newsletter. Don't forget to download the free White Label American app on the Google Play Store and Apple coming soon. Thank you for the privilege of your company.